This is the EF EcoFlow Wave 3 portable air conditioner, and honestly, it looks almost like a sleek, compact piece of luggage, pretty solid and modern with some simple controls that make it approachable. I've had the chance to put it through its paces for a couple weeks now, and I want to give you a quick review from the perspective of someone who actually lives with it in their space, not just for a day, but for enough time to really know what's cool and what's not so cool about using it. My first impression when unboxing it was that it's a bit heavier than I expected, especially with the battery pack attached underneath. Without the extra battery, it's manageable at around 34 pounds. Add the battery, and you're a bit over 50 pounds. That might sound like a lot for some, but the handle and compact 20-inch profile help, especially if you're loading up for an RV trip or moving it between rooms. It really only takes up about as much space as a medium-sized cooler. The color and design feel like EcoFlow put some thought into making this look nice just standing there in your tent, van, or cabin. From my experience, the key features that caught my eye are its powerful cooling and heating, the smart app integration, and how portable it can be when you plan right. I was honestly skeptical at first about how much cooling you could get from something so small. I've used those little plug-in fans and the so-called portable AC units you sometimes see at big box stores, and they never really get cold. This one surprised me right from the first test. On an 88-degree day, I set the Wave 3 up in a small room in my house. I connected the included hoses to direct the hot air outside, set it to cooling at 60 degrees, that's the lowest setting available, hit the snowflake icon, and watch the digital readout start dropping within minutes. EcoFlow claims you get 6,100 BTUs of cooling, and honestly, it really feels like it. My small room dropped about 14 degrees in 15 minutes. That felt refreshing, especially on those sweaty afternoons. I also used it in my van, and it's perfect for that kind of space. A tight, well-insulated area where you really need those quick bursts of cold air. Switching to heat is just as simple. Press the mode button until you see the wavy icon, and before you know it, it starts blowing warm air fast. With 2,000 watts of heating power, it got my van from chilly to comfortable in no time. That's a big plus for me, since I like camping year-round, and sometimes it gets cold at night, even in spring and fall. It's not easy to find portable AC units that also heat well, which makes this pretty unique in my opinion. I appreciate little things like battery indicators right up front, so you always know how much juice you have left. If you're not plugged into shore power, you can get about 4 hours in regular AC mode from the extra battery, maybe 3 if you blast it on max. Switch to the fan mode or enable eco mode, and you can stretch that battery even more, up to about 8 hours, depending on your settings and the temperature outside. Charging the battery is fast too. Plug it into the wall, and it's full in roughly 75 minutes. I've also tried charging with a car outlet and a solar panel, not included, so you have some flexibility when you're on the road or off-grid. The built-in dehumidifier is a nice touch. If you've camped in humid places, you know how quickly everything feels sticky. Running this in dehumidifier mode made a noticeable difference in how dry the air felt, which is important for sleeping well or keeping electronics safe in a small space. Getting set up is pretty straightforward, but it does take a little planning. You'll need to figure out where to run the intake and exhaust hoses to the outside, making sure you seal up any air gaps to keep the space cool or warm as efficiently as possible. It comes with all the basic parts, but if you have a unique setup, you might need to get creative with how you install the hoses, especially in an RV or van. Condensation is something to keep in mind too. The Wave 3 collects water as it cools, so you have to plan for drainage. There's a removable tray you can empty manually, or you can attach the included hose for continuous drainage if you're set up in one spot. I didn't have any leaks, but I'd keep an eye on that if you're moving the unit around or using it at full blast for long stretches. The LCD control panel is big, bright, and easy to use, even if you're new to these kinds of products. There's a cluster of buttons: fan speed, mode, timer, temperature, power, and you can also control it all from the app on your phone via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. For me, that's a real bonus. I can just pull up the app on my phone, check battery status, adjust temp, or even set it to pet care mode, which turns the unit on if the temperature goes over a certain threshold. That's peace of mind if you want to leave a pet in your van for a bit while you're close by. Also, the sleep mode is actually pretty quiet. 44 decibels isn't much louder than a steady rain. I slept through the night with it running next to my bed, and it didn't bother me at all. Crank it up to max and it does get noisier, But honestly, nothing out of the ordinary for this kind of cooling power. Let's talk about size for a second. The Wave 3 is best for small, insulated spaces. It absolutely kills it in tents, vans, and compact rooms up to maybe 180 square feet. In bigger rooms, it'll hold down a cool spot near the unit, but don't expect it to chill a big living room or handle huge open windows. If you're living on the road, camping, or have a tiny home, this is where the product really shines. For quick, strong bursts of cold or hot air, I'd recommend this for solo adventures, couples, or even small families, if you don't mind moving it around between setups. There are a few things I wish were easier. With the battery attached, it is heavy if you're moving it upstairs or hauling into a rooftop tent. I found myself wishing for wheels, particularly after carrying it alone. Setup does take 15 or 20 minutes if you account for hoses and draining. And you do need to think ahead about where you'll place it to ensure effective air circulation and minimal condensation hassle. I also want to mention the environmental side for anyone who cares about off-grid sustainability. The Wave 3 uses R290 refrigerant, which is supposed to be lower impact on the environment over time compared to traditional refrigerants. EcoFlow highlights how this could reduce thousands of pounds of CO2 emissions during its lifespan, which makes me feel better about using it while traveling or camping. One of the things I find most useful is just how much flexibility you get. Run it on battery for totally cordless operation, or plug it in whenever you can. That makes it perfect for tent camping, RVs, small cabins, or even emergency use if your main AC or heater goes out. In conclusion, after living with the EcoFlow Wave 3, it's been a reliable way for me to keep comfortable wherever I am. The cooling and heating both work surprisingly well for the size. App control and flexible power options give me a lot of peace of mind, and the quiet sleep mode makes overnight use easy. It isn't perfect if you need to cover huge spaces or move it a lot with the battery attached, and setup isn't instant, but for anyone who wants a real portable climate solution, especially for small, insulated areas, I'd recommend this for you. If you have questions or want to share your experience with portable ACS, drop a comment below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more reviews and tips just like this. Thank you for watching.